Israeli-Palestinian talks, because in a larger context of regional talks, we can have trade-offs on the Israeli-Palestinian issue as well. Good for them and good for us, without having the two sides to concede and to yield anything, because it's in a larger context. You know, Jerusalem was never a Palestinian issue. It's only in the last 20 years that it became a Palestinian issue. Jerusalem is a Muslim issue. I mean, I'm not talking about urban Jerusalem. Urban Jerusalem could be easily divided. It costs money, but that's it. Okay. You've heard Miriam's presentation, the previous session. I'm talking about the old city, those 870 dunams that hold the three holy sites of the three monotheistic religions. Okay. So it became kind of a liability to deal with the Palestinians on Jerusalem when they have no authority to yield anything there. This is why I believe that the combination of regional talks and bilateral talks could be advantageous, and the actors that could, the players that could influence that within the Palestinian arena are all in the region. Yes, Miriam.
This may sound pretty far out, but it's a follow-up to that question and your response to it. For those who are not familiar with his name, Marwan Barghouti was sentenced to prison in Israel for responsibility for the deaths of 5 Israelis.
Not 5 Israelis. It's actually 5 life sentences plus 1.
Okay. All right. Well, when Yael and I were interviewing Palestinian leaders in Ramallah, we saw far more photos of Marwan Barghouti than we did of Yasser Arafat, even though Arafat was alive and well at the time, well, alive anyway. It's well known that he has established respect with, because of his letters that he generated with leaders of Hamas in prison as well, to be probably the single most, I don't know whether popular or Palestinian leader capable of bringing together Fatah and Hamas, according to some folks. Now, I clearly don't think there's any Israeli prime minister who's about ready to release him, pardon him from prison to...
I beg to differ.
Well, this is my question. If we're thinking out of the box, and I know, going back to your service in the Office of Strategic Planning to more recent stuff, you're quite ready to think out of the box. So I'm asking you to think out of the box on this one. Pardoning Marwan Barghouti under certain terms might provide a Palestinian leader to succeed who's capable of mobilizing the support of Palestinians both in the West Bank and in Gaza.
I'll make two comments related to that. Thank you. First one is Marwan Barghouti in prison is 10 times more popular than Marwan Barghouti released. That's number one. Number two, yes, it is being considered. Okay, so it's not completely out of the box to think that as part of a kind of a comprehensive deal, this might be one of the concessions of Israel at the last stage. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Okay. All in the family. Sorry, I'll get back. I'll get.
Maybe since I'm right here, and then I'll do the next one. Sorry. I think, but I know you're willing to spend a little time with us. So, I was just curious. In my own research, I'm trying to kind of gauge to what extent, if any, the 2008, 2012, and 2014 wars of Hamas, what impact they had on actually impeding any kind of efforts or progress in terms of peace negotiations between Israel and the PA. So that's one. And then corollary to that, but also associated with that, is if you could speak a little bit more on current efforts to reach a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. And one of the problems is there's nothing on the PA front, and therefore Abbas seems to be reluctant for that actually to be successful. So I don't know what your kind of specific advice would be on trying to combine the ceasefire with Hamas with something reaching out to the PA as well.
Okay, I'll start with the second part of your question, which is, first, of course, we deny. We deny that we have any talks about ceasefire or anything like that. But there is a discussion about a mutual discussion about the extent to which Hamas is ready to go in terms of subsiding terrorism and violence and rocket launching on Israeli civilians versus the reconstruction and the rehabilitation of the Gaza Strip. And therefore, this is a very simple equation, you know. You give tranquility and you get normalization in terms of your daily life, infrastructure, seaport, etc., etc. So the talks right now are not looking that far away. The talks right now are looking at arrangements that relate to the short and mid-term, meaning between months and a few years, maybe, until the next round, okay? The main obstacle to achieving a ceasefire right now is Mahmoud Abbas. The main obstacle. I mean, we were on the verge of signing already, and Abbas blew it up. On the one hand, he doesn't want that to happen. He doesn't want us to negotiate with Hamas. On the other hand, he's not ready to assume responsibility over Gaza. And he's not capable of doing that, despite the fact that it is indispensable and it is part of the ceasefire of 2014 that Egypt brokered at the end of Protective Edge, you remember, in August 2014. As for the perpetual rounds of conflict with Gaza, you mentioned also in your presentation every 2 years or so. This should be discussed together with the disengagement, because what's in the minds of Israelis is, look, we left Gaza 13 years ago. Totally, there's not a single Israeli military and not a single Israeli civilian in Gaza. What do we get? Thousands and thousands of rockets and mortars and missiles over our civilian centers. And of course the attacks on the fans and other terrorist acts. This combined with Hamas launching any major confrontations every now and then gives Israelis a good pretext. Look, we left the territory. What do we get if we leave the West Bank now, and if we pull out? We will get the same kind of artillery on